Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon. Or shall I say good morning? Because that's when you guys will be receiving this. And Happy New Year. Happy New Year, you nosy motherfuckers. Did y'all miss me? I know y'all miss me. This is literally the first Dear DJ of the new year. So let's get it going because I know y'all thirsty and I know y'all nosy and y'all want to know what the fuck is going on. Dear DJ. Wait, before I get started, please make sure if you are new to this channel, you subscribe. Please hit the thumbs up on this video. Ladies and gentlemen, please hit the thumbs up on this video and let's get it going. Dear Deja, I am the mom of a 12-year-old extremely impressionable preteen. He's always asking his dad and I a ton of questions. He's very inquisitive. My twin brother, who has been incarcerated for the past 7 years, was released from prison December 4th. Of course, with my mom being deceased, I allowed my brother to be paroled to my home with my baby father's permission. Deja, let me be clear. My brother is gay and in my opinion has been gay his entire life. I would know we shared a womb at the same time. I think he was gay in there. Anyway, it's pretty much like the elephant in the room. So my family never spoke on it and neither did he. I'm guessing that being incarcerated and the confinement gave him the opportunity to be his true self and he revealed to my mom before she passed that he is in the life. That's no problem, especially because we already knew that. Here's what I didn't know, that he was cross-dressing gay. Last Saturday, while my son and his dad was having family night, putting up the Christmas tree and decorating for the holidays, my brother was heading out to hang with some friends for the first time since being released. And when I tell you, my brother came down in full drag, lipstick, long nails, wigs, shoes, etc. My son was amazed and his dad was astonished. The next day, my son had a ton of questions and his dad was hot. To sum it all up, my man wants my brother out this house like yesterday. I don't know what I'm going to do. Please help and fast. Signed. Where's your signature? Oh, signed. The men in my life are causing mayhem in my life. All right. All right. All right. All right. Y'all know how I do. Let me take a sip of my water. Woo child. Now, number one on the list. I'm sorry to hear about the passing of your mom. I pray that you guys have found strength and you're able to grieve properly and so on and so forth. That's numero uno. Secondly, I'm happy that your brother made it home safely from being incarcerated because sometimes that doesn't always happen. And last but most certainly not least, woo child. Well, I want to say this, right? Do I agree or disagree with your son's dad? I can't say, right? But it does sound like you're at a crossroad because it's one thing to say, listen, you're my brother and you can't stay here because of the way you function as an adult. But then it's another thing to say, you're my brother, but my man wants you out. Because I'm not going to lie, as a sibling myself, I would feel a way if if one of my siblings had a space and because of their spouse I wasn't allowed to be in it. That would really bother me, right? So that part of it is kind of hard. Number two, I would have to ask, if we were sitting in an Operation Hill 100 Heart session, what is your feelings? What is your feelings regarding your brother and his impression that he leaves on your son, or the exposure, the things that he exposes, the ways that he exposes your son to? Because it's one thing, once again, like I said at the beginning of the response, to want your brother out your space. It's another thing for somebody else to want your brother out your space and for you to jump on board with that, and that may not be your feelings. So my first thing is, what is genuine and true to you? Because whatever is genuine and true to you will make it easier for you to do, as opposed to being made to do something that doesn't feel right or sit right with you. So my first question would be, what is genuine to you, right? Now, the second part of that is, let me anticipate getting two answers so I can try to give you two possible responses, right? The first one is, if that is how you genuinely feel, right? That's your feelings, which is, listen, I do feel like It's a lot for my son to be exposed to the drag queen lifestyle, and he's young. I'm not ready for him to see all of that, so on and so forth. If that is your genuine feeling, my suggestion would be you need to write down or record or whatever it is that you do to keep a list of and to keep it fresh in your memory bank what your feelings are, right? Because if you want to express that to your brother, you want to make sure that you properly convey it in a way that doesn't seem too offensive, but is true to who you are. Because at the end of the day, this is your brother. This is your brother. I understand that this is your son. I understand that that's his dad, but this is also your brother. So everybody in this situation is your family. And the same way how you want to nurture and protect your son and your son's dad, you want to make sure you do the same for your brother. So there's a way that you have to kind of share that with him if that's how you feel, in a way that won't be offensive on your end. Now, am I saying that he won't receive it offensively no matter how you share it? Hey, I can't speak for him. You just want to make sure on your end that it's not done maliciously, because the same way that you safeguard your son and your son's dad, you want to also do that for your brother. They're all the men in your life, right? So my first thing I would ask is that true to you? And if the answer is yes, then I would tell you, make sure that you convey the message, in a way that really, really, really represents what you feel, right? If the answer is no, if the answer is no, that's not truly how you feel, meaning you don't feel like he needs to leave and because of, his current status and so on and so forth, then I think you need to have a conversation with your spouse, and not a conversation that has you telling him, "Oh, I don't feel the same way," so my brother doesn't have to leave, because you may not feel the same way, but still want your brother to go because your spouse said it. So that's not it. But I do think that you need to be genuine and share with your spouse what your genuine feelings are, just so they can know, just so he could know. He may consider something different if he knows you feel differently. Who knows? Either way, that communication needs to be clear about how you feel, because your feelings matter in this situation too. I'm going to be honest and say they matter the most, because everybody is related through you. You and him are connected because you have a son together. You and your brother connected because y'all share a mom. You and your son connected because you are his mom. You know what I'm saying? So you connect everybody and all the dots in this situation. So your feelings most certainly do matter. So you need to share with him what you feel. And then what I understand about co-parenting, and I actually agree with, is the whole partnering piece. I personally like that. My mom and my dad, in my opinion, partnered very well when we were growing up. So I could truly understand if, you're saying that, okay, my partner feels strongly about something. Him and I usually partner on things. So if he feels strongly about it, I'm going to get on board with it. I'm not asking you to interrupt that partnership. Not at all. Because I imagine that it was put together for the safety and the well being of your child. So I don't knock that, right? I think you should partner with your son's father to make the best decisions for your kid, right? But I do think that you need to share your genuine feelings, because if not, what could possibly end up happening is, let's just fast forward to the future, and you didn't say anything, you just went along with the plan. If you and your spouse had a situation occur, and it pretty much looked kind of like this, you would bring this up from the past to say, and just like the last time, and he's looking at you like, what happened the last time? I didn't want to do, but you didn't say that. You did not say that. So how was I supposed to know that you weren't on board with what we did, right? So it's nothing wrong with you saying, listen, this is my feelings surrounding it, and I just need you to know, even though we may make a decision that doesn't represent what I feel, I still want you to know how I feel, right? So that's part that's part B of it, right? The other part about it is having some in-depth conversation about two things. One, your brother being in your son's life, because he is his uncle, no matter what his sexual preference is, or no matter how he dresses or looks or acts. And number two, also having a realistic conversation with your son's father about what's taking place in the world. Because what I don't think that is realistic is saying that I don't want my son around anybody who is in the LGBTQ community or who is in the drag community. That's not realistic in the world that we live in today. It's not at all. So even if your son doesn't live with or doesn't have a relationship with his uncle, he is going to go out into the street, or he's going to look on the internet and see folks who are in this community every day. And my suggestion would be to have that conversation with your spouse, because then you guys need to be realistic, right? About what that looks like in terms of your son. He's going to have questions. You said in your letter yourself, he's very inquisitive. He likes to know things. So because of that, let me provide answers to things that you're going to be exposed to anyway, so you're not confused when you're exposed to it. Right? So I think that your baby father needs to be very, very realistic about the world that we live in today, which is folks of this community exist, and they have a right to exist, and they have rights, and they are people just like us. They just look differently. The same way how you can explain it like this: the same way how your dad is a person and your mom is a person, but we both look differently because he's a man and like, you can explain the differences in people. And and I know it's a lot for a 12-year-old, right? But remember the world that we live in today. You want to be their first bit of knowledge that they get about this, instead of learning it somewhere else, because somebody else might not be as gentle and as sensitive with your young person in their explanation as you guys would be. So your baby father has to be very realistic about that, right? The other thing that you guys have to have conversation about is the relationship between the son and the your son and his uncle, because no matter what, that's his uncle. That's his uncle. And remember, his uncle hasn't been around for quite some time because he was incarcerated. So right now should be the rebuilding phases of that relationship, because I would imagine that you want your son and your brother to have a relationship. That is your twin brother. So if nothing else, you want him and your son to have a good rapport. And you guys get to navigate what that looks like with your brother. My only thing is that should be done now, so it could be cemented and solid now, as opposed to trying to forge that when your son is 20 years old. Unc has already been missing for some time. Let's re-engage Unc into this family, and let's get on with the relationship. You're my uncle, I'm your nephew. This is pretty much how that relationship works, and let's move forward. Now, I think that because you said that your son was amazed, but his dad was astonished, right? And then the next thing was like pretty much like he needs to go. I hope and pray that you also have a conversation with your son's dad about his behaviors, because for most people in this world today, not all, but I do feel like most, normally your feelings show up in your behaviors, right? So if you don't like a person, sometimes it shows. If you really like a person, sometimes it shows. If you're happy to see somebody, it shows. If you're not happy to see, you know what I'm saying? So I don't want now with your son's dad, seeing your brother in full drag and having his own opinion and views on it, that he now starts to treat your brother differently, because that also could present a huge problem for you and your spouse and your sibling. If your brother is going to be in there being, I'm going to use air quotes when I say weird with your brother, because he may be of the LGBT community, or he may be a cross dresser, then that's going to present a problem for your brother. It's going to make him uncomfortable. And let's just say, right, it makes him so uncomfortable that he moves out anyway, and there's a problem eliminated right there. That's not true, because then your brother won't want to come over and visit anymore. Your brother won't want to get together on holidays anymore, because he knows he's going to have to encounter your spouse and that weird behavior. So in my opinion, my suggestion would be to have conversations about what he feels about your brother's lifestyle, and also talking to him about being mature enough to keep those behaviors, if they are negative, under wraps, because you do not want him forging a wedge between you and your brother. Your brother just came home. You guys need to be rebuilding your bond. He has not been around for some time. And at the end of the day, no matter what anybody else feels, that is your brother. You guys have lost your mother. You're all you have. You know what I'm saying? Um, I'm a little sad that in your letter you didn't share what the son's questions were, because I would have liked to hear what was some of the things he asked, so we can kind of discuss like what are some of the things a parent is willing to share with the 12-year-old in regards to that lifestyle and so on and so forth. But I am happy that, and I'm also happy it came out sooner than later, right? Because your son is still young, so he has time to now digest everything and move forward as he becomes a young adult with the mindset of, okay, I'm aware, I have this knowledge, now I know what to do with it, right? And that's his uncle. That's his uncle. So if nothing else, he's his relative, and they need to move on with the relationship, right? That's pretty much it, my dear. That's pretty much it, because that's all the information I have from the letter. My suggestion is and will always be, if you want more feedback, you have to give more information, which will require you to come have your Operation Hill 100 Heart session, right? And I am always here to provide, and I really, really love when people do so, because 9 times out of 10, this little snippet of a letter only gives a little snippet of the story, a little snapshot, and I can't really give the best solid feedback with only having that limited information. Let me also take this time too to shout out all of my dear DJ letter writers who have now become Operation Hill 100 Hearts participants. I appreciate the love so much. I appreciate the trust more than anything. I tell my boyfriend all the time, I rather a bigger compliment for me is when people trust me rather than love me. I appreciate it. So the fact that folks trust me and they reach out to me anonymously, then they feel the comfort to now reveal themselves and actually do the work by what I share with them, and the feedback I give them really warms my heart. So I really, really appreciate all of the Dear DJ support. Last but certainly not least, next Sunday is Dear Deeja's 4th anniversary. Dear Deeja will be 4 years old next Sunday, the 18th. So I am excited. I think we're going to have a little party here on the channel. I'll keep you guys in a loop about that. Thank you once again with y'all nosy asses for listening to my feedback. I truly appreciate it. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and you guys enjoy your day.